According to the AKC, French Bulldogs are now the most popular breed in the world. It would be a shame if you were a breeder and didn't understand the perfect time to breed your French Bulldog and ended up with a litter of 1 to 3 puppies. Although there are other factors that go into how many puppies a female French Bulldog will have, including age, fertility, and the sperm count and motility of a stud, breeding your dog at the perfect time is one of the biggest, if not the biggest factors that will determine how many puppies will be in your litter. What's up, guys? I'm Aaron with Laron Frenchies, and I've been breeding French Bulldogs for almost 5 years now and wanted to share my experience with you all so that we can grow the community the right way with beautiful and healthy dogs and learn from each other. Understanding proper breeding practices and when to breed your dog can help you produce more puppies that are better looking and healthier. There can be many challenges when it comes to breeding French Bulldogs at the right time. Although most people try and find what they are looking for locally or even regionally, the top breeders take on national searches to find the perfect stud for their female in heat. This takes away some of the control of the overall timing, and they also inherit risk with the transport of semen and can cause breeders not to breed in the right window. You can listen to this explained in this video here from a breeder that had a Singleton puppy in a litter because they didn't breed in the correct timing window for reasons that were somewhat out of their control.
Things don't always go as planned. I wasn't able to breed Malibu when I wanted to breed Malibu. Her numbers were rising. I used shipped semen. I put in the call to have the semen shipped the following day. When the semen came in, she stalled on me. I tested her levels again that day. I was curious to see where she was at that day, if she was still moving how I thought she should be moving, and she didn't. She slowed down, so she stalled on me. I had already received the semen, so there wasn't much I could do. So what I chose to do is leave the semen in the fridge, keep it cool, hold it, allow her numbers to go up a little higher, and then I went ahead and inseminated her with that sample. I also reached out to the stud owner and asked for a second sample, which is very typical. I like to use 2 samples whenever I'm doing shipped semen breeding. I like to pay the extra money and always do 2 samples. That's my preference. And especially in this situation, it was crucial. I needed a second sample. I gave him a call. It was a Friday. He said, I'm going out of town. He said, he checked with me to make sure I got the other box and said he's out of town for the weekend. So unfortunately, he wasn't able to send me another shipment. As a stud owner, you should go above and beyond. Just doing enough is not good enough. My opinion, you should go above and beyond to do whatever you have to do to help them achieve their breeding. I asked for another sample. I was more than willing to pay for the shipment of the other sample, but he was going out of town. Apparently he couldn't get nobody to pull the sample. He couldn't get nobody to ship the sample. I didn't get a second sample. I got a small Singleton litter. So that's how I got this Singleton. I thought we missed. I thought she didn't even take, but then I started seeing signs, and it was clear to me that she was pregnant, but just with a small litter. And sure enough, we got one Singleton.
A link is in the description if you wanted to watch the entire video. Female dogs should never be bred on their first heat as their body and eggs are still maturing. Most breeders choose the second or third heat to start breeding their dog, and their age can range between 18 months and 3 years, but they are mature enough to have a litter in their second heat cycle. As I mentioned in most of my other videos, you should have a full DNA profile on your dog to ensure the dog and the potential stud is free from any genetic health disorders that show in their DNA, as dogs that don't have clear DNA panels should never be bred. If you want to know more about DNA and French Bulldogs, you can click the link in the top right of your screen to see my video on it. Males can start developing sperm a little sooner, as working studs should have a motility test done on their sperm to ensure they have the swimmers in there that are able to fertilize eggs. This usually occurs between the ages of 8 to 12 months in most male French Bulldogs. Whenever the test shows that the stud is at an 80% or above motility rate, then it is optimum to start breeding with them. Motility refers to how efficiently sperm move and the overall quality of the sperm. Using a stud with a low motility rate is taking a high risk, as even a mature and fertile female may not become pregnant by using such a stud. Progesterone testing is used in females to determine the perfect window to breed your female and test the overall levels of this hormone in their blood. There are several kinds of machines that can perform these tests, but for the purpose of this video, we will focus on a chart made specifically for the Mini Vetus and the IDEX machines. The examples I will be using will solely be the Mini Vetus column. Every female dog is different, so it is very important to focus on the pure science of this chart and to be as exact as nature will allow you to be. Sperm can live inside of a female dog's reproductive tract for up to 5 days. This is important to know if there are some serious timing and logistics concerns between the female dog and the stud, but in ideal conditions, you want to perform the artificial insemination when you are inside of the ideal breeding window, which is reading between 15 and 20.5 on the chart as shown. Although you can continue to breed your female between 21 and 34.5, you will have to get a surgical implant or TCI performed if your female dog is reading between 35 and 40 in order for her to take and become pregnant. Any progesterone readings above a 40 will most likely end up in you missing your female's heat cycle and having to wait for the next one to start the process over again. Each dog varies in the time it takes them to get from reading above 0 to being in the proper breeding window, so it's important to stay close to the process and get as many tests as needed. This is one of the main reasons that breeders are starting to invest a few $1,000s into their own progesterone machine so that they can test at home more often rather than paying between $50 and $100 per visit at the vet for the same number of tests. We will discuss this exact topic in a future video in the coming weeks on how to reinvest after selling your first litter, so don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell notification. A good example of the variation between dogs when it comes to their heat cycle is how I charted my 2 females' most previous heat cycles. Storm got her first progesterone test 5 days after her heat cycle started and already read at a 4.04. This was right after the window of seeing a significant surge, which I assumed she was in the middle of. Because things were moving so fast, I just did her first AI 3 days later, then followed with a second AI 2 days after that without ever getting a second progesterone test. This was a significant factor in why she was pregnant with only 2 puppies. I used tribal knowledge and assumed she was in the window and didn't use the science of progesterone testing to give me a more accurate window for when I should have bred her. Lexi, on the other hand, went into heat and got her first progesterone test 11 days after she started her cycle and only read at a 1.71. I waited 4 days after that and got a second progesterone test where she read at a 19.7 and performed her first AI the next morning, then the second 2 days after that. This demonstrates just how different each dog is and exactly why you should use science and not your experience if you want to maximize your litter count. I'm not going to take the same route of getting an ultrasound or an x-ray to count puppies, but I'm confident that she has more than 2 puppies inside of her. As of the making of this video, she is 30 days pregnant. None of this works if you don't have a female dog that is mature and healthy enough to have puppies, and if you don't do your due diligence and find a stud counterpart that is healthy and has a high motility count in their sperm. This is step 1 in any breeding. After you identify the right stud for your female, it is imperative to stay very close to the process and get as many tests as necessary to find the correct window to breed your dog in. Never assume, instead use science to give you the best chance to maximize puppy count. There are stories all over YouTube of breeders not following these simple guidelines, and while some get lucky and have litters larger than 4 puppies, most of them have to reverse engineer their process to find out that they missed a step and assumed they knew because of their experience. If you lean on the fact that every dog is different and use progesterone testing to ensure that you are in the window, you are truly maximizing the number of puppies in your litter. Please leave a comment with your thoughts and experiences, as I would like to have a conversation with you all about this subject. Also, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my page for more breeding tips and information on French Bulldogs. Thanks for watching.